Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. This video, I don't really know what I'm going to entitle it at this point, but by the time you see it, it's something down there. But I'm going to give you some of my thoughts and insights on certain things in music when it comes to engineering, sound, and things of that nature. I'm a real big stickler for a good, clean sound. As you know, I try to do that on my channel, and one of the most asked questions on my channel is, how do you get such a good tone? And from day one when I first started playing, that had to be there. I don't like noisy. I don't like fuzzy. I don't like distorted or deliberate distortion, where you just, instruments sound like crap. For years I used to hear drummers, they sound like they're beating on pots and pans in the basement. And they got like $1,200, $2,000 drum kit lug wins, but they just sound like crap. And I'm like, and sometimes with bass, if you don't EQ it and compress it enough, it sounds real fuzzy and real muffled, not clean and crisp. Guitar, you got to do the same for that. And for piano players, they're a little lucky because there's not too much that has to go into tweaking them and getting a certain sound and compressing and all that. And they rarely ever go out of tune, So when one of my bands, when we first started to get notoriety in the Midwest back in the 80s, that's when cable TV came around, on TV and, just cable in general. And it was in Chicago. It's called Can TV, where it was ran by the city. And anybody could come down and register to do a talk show, host a music show, engineer, things of that nature. So we performed at a show one night. And I remember that show because I was driving home from getting some stuff for the show that night, and over the radio it came on. My band, or the band I was in, was called Polo at the time, and we were headlining for the Soul Preacher in Chicago. He was a real good saxophone player, and the bass player got that booking for us because he knew him. So I'm driving and I hear it for the first time. I got my radio up tonight. I forgot what club it was on the south side of Chicago. But they announced it tonight, the Soul Preacher, and open up for the Soul Preacher is Polo. I was like, hey, first time I heard, my band acknowledged on the radio. So after we did that show, we got some inquiries from Can TV to come on and perform on one of their variety shows. Everybody was excited. I wasn't. It's like, why you're not excited that we're going to be on TV? Because I'm going to tell you why. Have you ever watched that show? Yeah, many times. I mean, have you listened to that show? What do you mean? The PA on most of those shows for most of those musicians or bands sound like shit. I'm not going to be a part of that. I'm sorry. I'd rather utterly sound good and not give a good show than give a good show and the PA sound like crap. And as they listened to it the next time that show came in, they said, you know what, you're right. And I'm like, if there's any way that we can bring our own PA guy down there, we can do this. But if we can and we stuck with the in-house people, no. That's going to do more damage for our reputation than good. Because when people hear it or see that show, we're going to sound like crap, and we don't sound like crap. And they're going to write us off as a crappy band. So therefore, it's not a good idea. So they were quite disappointed because they really wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. I wanted Mama to see me on TV. Look, Mama, look. But I'm like, not like this. So we held out for a couple of years, and then they started to allow professional PA people to come in. And when we waited, like I think a year and a half, we did a good job, and everybody was calling us for bookings. So, I think that's really important that you're only as good as your PA guy when you're playing live. You're only as good as your studio producer when you're recording in the studio. So here's another thing that I really think about that a lot of people don't think about. When you are out live and you got your PA system thing going good, you got a good PA guy and you sounding good, but now you got to have a cameraman or several cameramen. And I feel that most of the cameramen should be musicians too, and I'll tell you why. I've seen it so many times it ain't even funny. And I'm talking about professional bands, cameramen, not club bands. I'm talking about guys that have sold millions of records. They're performing, they sound good, they're looking good, and And one of the songs, there's a solo. Maybe it's the guitar player playing the solo, or maybe the piano player, or maybe the drummer or the bass. So as this is going on, the cameraman is showing the singer, who's not at this point singing because the solo going on, clapping. I'm like, why am I watching some guy that ain't singing, clapping, while the guy on the guitar tearing up, shredding it up, and you ain't over here? You know, I would think that that's common sense for just anybody that's just slightly familiar with being a musician or just love music. But that's why it's important to have a cameraman that knows your set. You know, of course, he's not going to catch every good moment that you have on stage, but he should be able to catch the solos or something that's drawing attention to one individual at that given moment. And instead of, again, I'm sitting there watching the singer clapping and the guitar over there, guy playing, but you don't see him. The cameraman ain't focused on him, you know. And a lot of people sometimes don't catch them. Like, I thought that was just kind of common sense that at this given specific time, the camera should be over here, not over here. I just watched a show from a band in the 70s. I'm not going to name their names. Million record seller band, you know, back in the day. And their lead singer's no longer with them. The only original member was the guitar player. And I'm like, you know, when you lose your lead singer and then you replace him, it's just never the same. But when you lose 90% of the guys and you're the only one left, it's like, I don't know if you should even call it this anymore because those guys that made up this are no longer here. But this guy was, you know, playing guitar, and he bust out into his solo. The camera do somewhere else. And then the PA guy didn't back him up because I couldn't even hear, because, of course, it's common sense. When you're doing a solo, the PA should be up a little higher for you so everybody can hear what you're doing, because there's spotlight on you and still you're so buried in the mix, nobody can hear you. They see you, but they can't hear you playing or whatever, you know. But I'm very attention to detail when it comes to things like that because I want things right. You know, I look at Sting, and Sting has always had a good sound, whether he was, you know, a solo act or with the Police. And when he went solo, I think the name of the album was called A Brand New Day or something to that point. And he gave a concert in his backyard. And the PA was so good that I had a DVD recorder, which a lot of people just didn't buy, and I don't know why. That I still got the thing. It's invaluable to my setup. So I recorded the audio onto a DVD, and I used to listen to it in my car, and it sounded like a studio-produced concert. It didn't sound like a live concert. You didn't hear a whole bunch of people clapping and making noise. It didn't sound muffled, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, oh, I can't even hardly hear the singer over the music. Everything was balanced perfectly, and I'm like, that's how I want my stuff. You know, I know Sting is a millionaire. He can afford to you know, set it out big time. But you got some people that's millionaires like him, and the PA don't even come close, you know. So I just thought I would post this video kind of, you know, give you a little insight on some of the things that I think about that perhaps other people don't think about or don't put that much weight on it as far as, you know, the sound got to be there. You know, I don't want to be playing and you can't hear me because the bass is too loud, the drums are too low, the piano is up there, the vocals, you can't hear him because he's screaming over the music or over the instruments, you know. Got to be right for me. Till next time, take care. Thanks for watching.